we are back with Lantern Control. Here we got a match against, it's going to turn out to be Eldrazi Tron. Our opening hand here, no lands, totally unkeepable. Mulligan this, and we open on a nice 6 here. We don't know what we have, but what we're up against, but between Thoughtseize and Prismatic Ending, I think we have enough interaction. Additionally, Urza's Saga can often buy us some time, and Stirrings can help us find a piece that we need in the future. So as we start here, they're gonna lead on a Tron land. So immediately kind of G-Tron is kind of the first instinct of this is going to be Tron. We pick up a Codex Shredder, which is nice. It means Saga can go get a Lantern to complete the lock here. We're gonna lead on a Shredder. Being Tron, we kind of want to have the graveyard mill them lots so that if we draw Surgical, it will have the most value. Hitting a Tron land is huge here, and we happen to hit Karn. All of this is confirming, looks like G-Tron at this point. And they just play a second tower, and at this point we get a bit nervous that they might just have natural Tron. And they play a Chalice on 1. Chalice could be a G-Tron card. Usually it's Eldrazi Tron, so at this point we're kind of pretty sure that it's going to be Eldrazi Tron. Chalice on 1 is really bad for us. Fortunately, we do have the pending, so we're gonna remove it right away. Basically, our entire deck is turned off by Chalice. Ensnaring Bridge is the only non-1-drop main deck. So in my main deck lists, everything costs 1 except for Ensnaring Bridge and Prismatic Ending. So we're gonna take the opportunity that we have here just to exile this Chalice right away, and then kind of see what they do. We can play Saga on 3, and when they Cavern of Souls here on Eldrazi into a Mana Reshaper, this is perfect for us. 3 damage a turn. Like, we can deal with this quite efficiently. We don't have to worry about something like Karn Liberated or Worm Coil, anything kind of big early, as they don't have natural Tron here. As we continue, we draw another land, which is nice. We're not going to play it this turn, but it means in the future we'll continue making land drops. So we look at their hand here and see that they have a tower, but they already have a tower on the battlefield, so they do not have Tron, and they have 7-drop and a 10-drop. Given that they don't have Tron and we have Urza's Saga in hand, we can just go ham with the Urza's Saga here. This is an opportunity for us. If we can keep them off a Tron land, we're going to take the Thought-Knots here, as it's kind of the most immediate pressure, and our goal is going to be to keep them off land. So we Stirrings there to grab a Lantern of Insight. This is perfect. Now between Lantern and Shredder, we should be able to keep them off Tron for the rest of the game. So we play Saga, run out a Lantern, see a tower. We're gonna let them draw towers. They're not a big deal. Kind of eventually they can get up to 7 mana, but that's less important. They're gonna attack for 3. Matter Reshaper is a pretty slow clock, so we know their hand at this point is like a 7-drop in Karn, so we're not too worried yet. We're going to go ahead, just play the Courtyard. We don't want to waste the Stirrings just to try to get an untapped land. It's better to save it for next turn when we can use it, and then make a construct this turn. We're gonna pass through here. They are eventually going to hit 7 mana just naturally as they see another tower on top. We're not going to block here. We don't want to trade with the Matter Reshaper yet. We also have a Prismatic Ending in hand, so if we can keep them on all super expensive things, we're going to be able to use this Prismatic Ending in the future, both to avoid its death trigger and to just keep blockers out of the way. So we make a construct at the end step here. Again, Lantern and Shredder is mainly being used to keep them off of Tron in order to stop the Ulamog in their hand from coming down. We mill ourselves there. We don't really need a swamp, kind of looking for something that's a bit more action. We make a construct here, and they are, they're 2 turns away from getting Karn Liberated. We can't kill them in 2 turns, so we are going to grab a Needle with Urza Saga here on Karn Liberated, and that way we're basically locked here. We're just going to run out a Ghoulcaller's Bell. You could run out Stirrings here, but nothing we get we're going to be able to cast. So we run out the Bell, just bump the Construct up, so we're hitting for extra damage here. We'll cast Stirrings next turn. So we swing for 6. And at this point, they're very much on the back foot. It's going to be very hard for them to get out of this game. We see Power Plant again, one of the Tron lands that they already have, so we're fine with them drawing that. They're now only 1 away from Karn Liberated, so if we didn't have this Needle, it would be something to worry about. Next turn, fortunately, we grab Needle. You know, this is one case where you might be tempted to grab something like Codex Shredder, really secure the lock, but the clock that the construct tokens put on your opponent is really important to remember, that you know, we don't need necessarily the tightest, most solid lock if we're going to kill them in 3 turns. If we were hiding behind Bridge, then yeah, you can get a Codex Shredder. I think in this case you're still getting a Needle anyway because of just how many lands they have in hand, but that is always something to think about, is when do you go to strengthen the lock and when do you just have a temporary measure to just push you over the edge with the constructs. We draw Glimmer Void here. Yeah, we're just gonna run it out, and then we're gonna cast Prismatic Ending on the Matter Reshaper. This is gonna put them down to 2 with our constructs. We could let it die. It doesn't make a huge difference here. There's not much they can do to win this game. We're just gonna play Stirrings here, use our mana efficiently, and this obviously is a situation where we're gonna grab the Codex Shredder. They got a Power Plant on top. They're basically done, and they concede here. With Karn Liberated and Ulamog in hand, there's not much they can do. So let's get into game 2. In terms of sideboarding, kind of the cards you want to bring in are things like Pithing Needle, Haywire Might for the 1 ring. If you have extra Surgicals in your sideboard, you want to bring those in too. I'm not running any, but if you are in your list, definitely bring those in. Also Spellskite is fine, not super amazing. If we take a look at this hand here for game 2, I don't love it, I don't hate it. We're gonna keep it. It has kind of 2 pieces of our combo and hand disruption. Looking to find a lantern at some point. Could probably make a good argument to ship it back. As you'll see, maybe we should have. I don't hate it. I'm not feel too strongly about kind of what we kept here. It's definitely not a great hand, but by no means is it terrible. Drawing another land here kind of makes it a lot worse. We're gonna Thoughtseize right away. Looking at their hand again, they're a bit slower. Matter Reshaper kind of being their only real pressure. We'll notice Blast Zone and the 1 ring being 2 key targets for Pithing Needle, as you know, Blast Zone is a way of answering Bridge, and Ring is going to draw them a lot of cards. We're going to take Chalice here. If they play a Chalice next turn, we are in a lot of trouble. So we're going to take the Chalice. We're going to go Waste into a Mind Stone here. So we know everything that they have, and we do kind of have to find some way of dealing with the Ring next turn. We draw Saga, which is nice. At least it's a land that does something here, and we get a Codex Shredder down. We're just going to start milling them if we can find Surgical, also just to run it out. So they're going to play our Blast Zone, and then obviously deploy the Ring here, start drawing some cards. Obviously this is not good for us, but hopefully Bridge can somewhat hold it down. We peel a Stirrings here, and I like to actually make a construct. They don't have much pressure in hand. They'll probably draw it with the Ring, but they're pretty far away from Tron. So if all they're able to do is kind of play a Matter Reshaper each turn, I think we're in a good spot to deal with that. If they had kind of multiple Tron lands here, then I'm probably either casting Ancient Stirrings for Lantern, or Pithing Needle, or playing Ensnaring Bridge, or something else. But with only the Matter Reshaper kind of as their pressure, and without any Eldrazi Temples or Tron lands to ramp them out, I think it's fine to make constructs here. They're also going to start taking some damage with the ring, which will help a bit with the clock. You're gonna draw, keep drawing, and then another mine. Again, this is good, keeping them farther away from Tron. They're gonna cast Pithing Needle here. Obviously, if someone casts Pithing Needle, you respond with all your activated abilities, pretty much like you, because there's no option to respond to Pithing Needle between them saying what you name and then it being shut off because it's an as ability. So we mill another ring here. It's fine. Urza Saga. So they do kind of shut down our ability to make blockers. We'll still get the tutor from it, which is nice. And they just run out the Matter Reshaper that we knew about. So at this point, we're kind of all right. We're not in a great situation for sure with the Blast Zone and the ring, but we'll do what we can. Surgical is nice here. We'll get to take them off some things. So we're going to Codex Shredder here first, just to try to get a bit more information before we search with Saga. We do hit a Tron land, which is nice, and then we just float mana off the Saga. Here, we have to get Pithing Needle on Blast Zone first. If we try to needle the one ring, they're just going to be able to untap and use Blast Zone, which will take out our Shredder and our Needle. So we're going to name Blast Zone first. Hopefully they don't have too many answers to this. We're then going to Surgical. We do want to pay life here because we're going to cast Stirrings next. So we take them off Tronland, and then looking at their deck here, I think it's very, very important to note that they took out the Ulamog. So if we resolve Bridge, we can go through and count their answers. They have Blast Zone, Karn Liberated, and presumably something in the sideboard that they can get with Karn the Great Creator. So I think that's really, really key to notice here, that once we resolve Bridge, there are those three cards. Ugin, on its down tick, destroys a permanent that's one or more colors, but fortunately Ensnaring Bridge is colorless. So when we can kind of construct our game plan around locking them from Karn Liberated, Karn the Great Creator, and Blast Zone behind a bridge, we will win. They have no answers main deck. I'm not sure why they took out Ulamog in this matchup. They decided to. Additionally, Chalice, big problem here, but basically nothing else matters too much at all if we can lock down those key cards. Anyway, we take Power Plant. Yeah, so I did take a screenshot of this at the time, kind of had it on hand. We're gonna run out Bridge. At this point, kind of seeing what's able to be resolved. We don't want them to draw Thought-Knot Seer with all the cards that they're taking, so we want to get the Bridge down before any Thought-Knot Seers would be able to take it. And then we're going to Stirrings here. Even if they play a Thought-Knot, having Stirrings or something else in hand is basically the same result. We find another Bridge, which is nice, which we'll go for here. If they draw something like Karn Liberated as they're out, we'll have a bit of time. It's not great, would have preferred Lantern or another Needle, but it is something. Obviously not attacking with the Construct. Even if we could have, I don't think we attack here because we want to avoid the Matter Reshaper trigger. And then they're going to crack their Mind Stone, draw a card. No, they're going to dismember our Construct here. So no pressure, which is fine if we can hide. Remember, if we have Bridge and 3 Needles, we win. Unfortunately, I guess we'll speed it up a bit here, but they're going to get in for 3. We are going to be able to empty our hand quickly. They find a Thought-Knot, take our Bridge, which is exactly why we played the Bridge last time. They're going to draw. We're down to 2 in hand, so we're kind of hiding. Relic is not good with Karn. Unfortunately, now we have to draw an Urza Saga as our only way of getting Lantern, unless we Prismatic Ending the Chalice first. And at this point, it's kind of starting to slip away. They've kind of drawn the right combination of cards in order to shut us off, and they find a Karn here. We're basically dead. They get a Ratchet Bomb from the sideboard. We're now, we're kind of drawing. There isn't really much we can do here. Probably could have conceded at this point, but we decided to play it out a bit more. They're going to tick up Ratchet Bomb. Relic allows them to get anything back with Karn. And so as you'll see here, another Karn down tick, and we're just in a lot of trouble here. They run out of Walking Ballista, and we concede to that. We don't have an answer to that we can find in time and get around. Pithing Needle might take a couple turns, but I'm sure they have other answers in their sideboard. Going into game 3, now that we know what we have in their deck, we can kind of construct our game plan much more around Bridge and Pithing Needles, knowing that they don't have something like Ulamog in their deck. So with that plan in mind, as we get into our game 3 here, we open up. I really like having the Surgical. I think it's very good. They have a bit of disruption early. We can take them off something like Chalice of the Void, and then Stirrings and Saga can hopefully get us to either another Needle or two, and Haywire Might can deal with something like the Ring, Expedition Map, anything like that they might play early. So we're in Blooming Marsh, turn 1, Inquisition, and we see 2 Chalice of the Voids, Karn, and Batterskull. Batterskull, Bridge takes care of. Karn, we're going to have to find a Needle for, or Thoughtseize for, but we obviously take the Chalice here, and because they have 2, we're going to Surgical the Chalice. At some point, it will also give us an opportunity to check their deck again. We don't cast Surgical this turn. They have no way of casting it on turn 1 Chalice, so we're going to do it on turn 2 just to get that added information of figuring out what one more card that they drew is. We're going to pass through here, and then drawing a Needle is great. It means we can use one less tutor to find something. We're going to run out of Saga, cast a Stirrings, and we find an Ensnaring Bridge here. We grab a Codex Shredder. To be honest, watching this back, I don't know why I grabbed Codex Shredder here, but it was something you can do. I think actually the correct play might have been the land, although we can Stirrings for a land next turn. And I'm seeing putting double Bridge to the bottom is a bit unfortunate, but yeah, you'll see how it goes. I think Codex isn't terrible. Bridge is probably correct. Let me know what you would have done. So we're gonna run out the Shredder, mill them. We hit a tower, which is one they already had, so we're not gonna Surgical something like that. And we are gonna Surgical the Chalice of the Void here, just because it shuts down everything we have. Take the one from their hand, and then again looking at their deck, we can see that they haven't made any changes. So again, Ensnaring Bridge plus Pithing Needle on Karn, the Great Creator, Karn Liberated, and Blast Zone will win the game. They have no answers in their deck to an Ensnaring Bridge or a Pithing Needle other than those 3 cards. So we already have one Pithing Needle in hand. Saga can get us a second one, and then either Stirrings, finding it with the lock, anything like that, we'll just win the game. You'll notice because we're on the play, they have less cards in their library than us, so we don't have to worry about anything at this point if we get the Pithing Needles down. We take their Chalices, and we see Karn and Batterskull, which means we have a couple turns before they can get to Karn, as they're on a bit of a slower draw. So they're just gonna play a land here, and that's gonna, their turns 2 and 3 are just gonna be playing a land. They don't have any plays until turn 4. So we're gonna draw another Needle in here. We're actually running pretty well between those 2 Needles and Saga. We are gonna be able to Needle everything in their deck that matters. We're gonna Stirrings here. Unfortunately, we see another Bridge go to the bottom because we have to take a land. Fortunately, kind of Urza Saga is gonna shuffle our deck, so if we didn't have any way of shuffling, we'd have 3 Ensnaring Bridges at the bottom of our deck, which is not what we want at all. But with this shuffle, off Saga, they'll get put back in, and then we're just gonna Needle our, I believe, Blast Karn the Great Creator because it's in their hand, and then Karn Liberated just as the 2 threats. Blast Zone is gonna take, again, it won't be turned till turn 4 when they have that. I think we maybe should have Needled Blast Zone first, it doesn't make a difference here. We'll get the third one off of Saga anyway. So they play Eldrazi, and yeah, again they have nothing. We know what they have in their hand, so we are going to make a construct here. Either we're beating them down, or it's a temporary measure until we find Ensnaring Bridge. Now, a lot of people grab Lantern here. We don't actually need Lantern. We're just gonna Pithing Needle on Blast Zone, and then we got a blocker here for a little bit. Haywire Might, blocking, and it's just gonna be finding Bridge. So Milla Crucible of Worlds, they can run Karn out here. They decide not to. It will just die if they run it out. They're not able to activate it for anything. We're gonna play lands here as Shredder. Yeah, we're gonna start shredding them. You can shred yourself too. Get some lands. One thing, the card Warping Whale will make a 1/1, so we're not gonna swing with Haywire Might here. They exile it anyway. That's fine. We were correct that they had it. It deals with it either way. I think it was pretty telegraphed that they had it when they didn't play Karn, but from here on, I think this just kind of shows the importance of having Pithing Needle, and that kind of how much it can shut down. Like these decks that rely so much on their activated abilities, we're kind of going to go quickly here. They run out the Batterskull. It's a lifelink, and the fact that it has Vigilance means we're not going to be swinging into it, like into them, because they can take 5, swing at us for 4, and gain most of what we do back. We see they do draw the Karn Liberated here. It does nothing. They should definitely be running out small Karn. We did miss a milling ourselves there, but not a huge deal. So they're going to play Ugin. Again, this is just going to put out a bunch of 2/2s, kind of just saying, hey, let's, going to make a bunch of blockers for them. We're going to use Shredder here as they play Karn, just to get back a Stirrings, just to find Bridge, which we're going to hopefully hide behind. This is kind of one situation. Your Profane Tutor would probably be a better Bridge coming down soon, although if they do have Warping Whale, they can counter it because it is a sorcery, not an instant. Again, they're not swinging with their Batterskull, although I think you could definitely make an argument that they want the trade here. So none of our artifacts can be used, which again, all of their answers to Bridge are shut off with Pithing Needle. So we're going to cast a Stirrings, hope that one of our 3 bridges are shuffled in, and there's one. We have found a bridge. Take it right away, and we're just gonna play a bridge. Stirrings comes through. We get the bridge down, and from this point onward, we can do nothing. We have 42 cards in deck. They have 39. We've seen their entire deck. There's nothing they can do. They can destroy all their creatures. They can draw every card in their deck. They have a bit of a funny interaction here where the guy asks us how we're gonna win, and yeah, basically we say can't win. They have no answers to Needle and Bridge. I don't know why they took Ulamog out. That's I guess a sideboarding decision for Eldrazi players, but we sit behind Bridge now, and the guy nice enough about it, but yeah, at this point, we'll kind of go through it quickly. Again, he's not sure why our deck's good. Lantern is good. It's a top deck. We actually have great matchups against a lot of the top decks in the metagame. So I think it's definitely a very viable strategy today. Don't let people tell you that Lantern isn't viable. We're gonna just pass through here. We're gonna Surgical Crucible of Worlds, take another look at their deck. They had nothing. Again, we were correct. No way of dealing with it. So yeah, we talked a bit about the scam matchup. You guys are actually quite nice. So there are lots of people that don't like Lantern, but also lots of people that'll be quite nice about it. So this kind of a key takeaways from this matchup are kind of recognizing when decks get shut down by kind of key cards in your deck. Like there's some decks where Ensnaring Bridge plus like one Pithing Needle on Beseiju will also shut them down, and then knowing when you can go for that angle of attack instead of the traditional Lantern plus Shredder. So you'll notice we never saw a Lantern here. If we see a Lantern, it's not going to matter because of the Karn on the other side. Technically, we could draw Prismatic Ending and exile the Karn, but it's not important at this point. There's nothing they can do to win this game. So, a key lesson: the importance of bridge, and we get another victory against Eldrazi Tron. So, keep lanterning it up out there. I'm gonna have to work on that. But Lantern.